Hello and welcome to Tips and Tricks for Eating on a Budget. We're so glad that you could join us today. We hope that today's presentation to go through great selections for eating on a budget and including a nutritious eating pattern will serve you well. Today's agenda will include us checking in on any previous goals you may have had to support your health and well-being and some supportive encouragement and motivation around goal setting, engagement in money-saving meal planning tips and tricks, thoughts on considering cooking to support integrating budget-friendly foods into your eating pattern, navigating the grocery store and helping you learn to shop to save and shop any sales that might be available, and how do we keep helpful behavior change in motion in our lives? At the end, you will also see some review of some supportive resources. So let's begin by checking in on how health behavior change in our personal journey is evolving. This may be helpful to grab a journal or find a quiet space to do some mindful reflection. It may be helpful to first think a little bit about what is going well and what is successful in your health behavior journey currently. Are there any movements that you've made that are baby steps that are helping you move towards an ultimate goal or a long-term goal? These are things to consider and also celebrate. Have you encountered any challenges that may be getting in the way? Are there any barriers that are coming up that are inhibiting your movement towards health behavior change in your life? Consider these for a moment. As we go through today, we want to remind you to think a little bit about how we can develop SMART goals for our lifestyle. Consider where you are currently at. Are there things that maybe need some changing? Things to ponder could include your current motivation to change certain areas of your health, your current capacity in your life and lifestyle to allow for behavior change to occur, and what is your current confidence level for making change? Are there certain resources that you may find helpful to refer to help you execute a change that you have in mind? And finally, how can you make your goals SMART? In other words, can you make your goal a bit more specific? What exactly are you trying to achieve? Can you make your goal more measurable? How will you know when you've achieved your specific goal? Is your goal currently attainable considering your capacity in your life right now? Is it genuinely possible to achieve this goal? And is your goal relevant or realistic? Why are you even heading out to embark on this goal in the first place? Consider why you're setting the goal. Is your goal time-bound? When do you want to achieve this goal by? And will you check back in and measure it? What's your plan for assessing change? Today, we are going to address the basics of meal plan. Planning meals through the week can be very helpful to help you determine what you need to get at the store and also prevent you from having to go back to the store multiple times through the week for any forgotten items. It can be very helpful to use items already on hand in your refrigerator or your pantry to reduce food waste. Also, relying on leftovers in the fridge can be a really great way to use for a different meal or also to just finish up what you've already created at home. Plan your weekly schedule when it comes to meal planning. This can be very helpful for you to know what's coming up through the week and when you may possibly need to access some different food items, or when you might need a quick meal, or when you might need to have a meal away from home. It's helpful to note that a lot of grocery ads come out on Thursdays and typically run until the next Wednesday. So planning on a Wednesday for your meals for the following week might be a helpful way to shop sales and also know what is coming up and what's available in the grocery stores. Be mindful of when you need to pause to plan. Plan based on what's in your refrigerator or pantry. What is already available to you to make use out of? Think about, what can I make with foods that I already have on hand? What needs to be used up first? Can I mix foods together to make a more balanced meal? Am I thinking about following a balanced plate type of meal pattern that will support integrating the big nutrients helpful for thriving in your life, including carbohydrates, protein, and fats? It can be very helpful to have a running tally of what are some of your favorite recipes. Looking for inspiration can be a really great way to compile a helpful option to refer to again and again. Where can you find this inspiration? For you, this might be recipe websites or blogs. You might engage in a recipe swap with family or friends, or find and rely on newspapers or magazines for delicious recipes to try and integrate into your lifestyle. Some of our favorites here at the clinic include Half-Baked Harvest, Cookspiration, Minimalist Baker, Fresh Living, and pulses.org, all helpful links accessible through your favorite search engine. Creating a binder or a folder for your favorite recipes is another really great way to keep track of what's tried and true and have been favorites for your family. Here you will see a very helpful and simple guide around how we create a balanced eating plan for our lifestyle that can energize us throughout our day. You will notice with breakfast that we are including some type of protein, grains, and some kind of produce like fruits or vegetables to make up the majority of this balanced plate. Here we are getting helpful supportive nutrition from fiber-rich produce, grains to support our brain energy and body energy through the day, and protein to help keep us feeling full and satisfied and keep our blood sugars nice and balanced. It can also be helpful to add some type of nutritious fat, whether it may be butter or margarine, mayonnaise, some type of oil or salad dressing, avocados or nuts or seeds, to also help keep you feeling full and nourished. You will notice lunch and dinner have a very similar division on the plate. You will see grains and protein and also some kind of produce. It can be helpful to include snacks between your meals if you are hungry, and to also make sure that you're responding appropriately to hunger cues that might be arising. Make room for combinations. Combinations of nutrients will always help to make sure that we are getting a variety of nutrition in our daily eating pattern to support adequacy, but also support enjoyment from our food pattern. Snacks can be very helpful to include if you find that you tend to run out of steam mid-afternoon or maybe before some type of exercise or movement, or sometimes helpful even before you're going to bed. It can be very helpful to include some type of carbohydrate, protein, and fat source as well. Think about fun foods as well. Fun foods can have a place in the eating pattern in moderation and to level of satisfaction. Simple saves when considering meal planning can include planning some meals that don't have meat. This might include a plant-based meal source or protein source such as beans, eggs, peanut butter, tofu, tempeh. It can be helpful to cut down on costs by thinking about including plant-based protein sources twice a week. Consider the use of a grocery ad or the Flip app. This can be downloaded conveniently onto any smartphone for your reference. On these apps or in these grocery ads, you can circle the types of foods that are of interest to you and your family's eating pattern, and you can price match with the tellers at the checkout. One of the best and most simple things to do to save money is to make a list before you head to the grocery store and aim to stick to it. It's normal to have some needs for heading back to the grocery store through the week, but making a list can really help you stick to the plan most often. In regards to reducing waste, it can be very, very helpful while you're grocery shopping to put cold foods in the cart last. Once you are home, refrigerate these foods immediately to make sure that these foods don't hit a danger zone and stay fresher longer. While you're shopping, looking for older expiration dates is really important. Make sure that you are using products that may have expiration dates that are further out and selecting these to make sure that they will keep longer in the fridge. These all help to keep food safe. Aim to waste less. Use the oldest products that you have selected from the grocery store first. Aim to recreate foods that are about to spoil. Throw away spoiled foods to make sure that you are safe and do not get sick. Using leftovers can be a very helpful way to make sure you're saving money on previously purchased foods, and also to ensure that you maybe can repurpose foods for a different meal. It can also be helpful to freeze leftovers to help you recreate a different meal or use single-use items as well in the future. Examples of recreated or repurposed meals could include tacos, chili, or meatloaf that may use leftover cooked ground beef that you had from a previous meal. Sticking to the plan, some tips for shopping. It's known that the average shopper spends 40% more on impulse purchases when shopping without a list. To help you stick to the list, it can be really helpful to carve out time to make your list. This may be on a specific day on a weekend or sometime before you head to the grocery store the next day. You might conveniently do this on a pad of paper, a sticky note, or maybe even on your phone. Stick to that list as best as possible. It can be helpful to organize your list based on store layout of the grocery store that you typically go to access your food. Keep this list in a central location, whether it's on your phone or maybe stuck on the fridge from a magnet, and make sure that you can refer back to the list, adjust it, and maybe add additional items as they come to mind. It can also be helpful to copy your list for future weeks. If you're someone that also uses a grocery store express app on your phone, these apps can sometimes conveniently include previously purchased items or past orders within that database on the app for ease of use or for future reference. Shopping when you're hungry can cause you to buy more, so it can be very helpful to make sure that you're going to the store fully nourished. Be mindful that discounts only save you money if the product is something you actually need and would normally buy. It can be challenging if you're shopping discounts on products that you typically are not using soon enough or that you maybe are forgetting are present in your pantry. Checking unit prices in the store can be a very helpful way to check in on foods and choose items that might be possible to achieve at a lower price. The unit price listed on a label can tell you the cost per ounce, gram, or liter for that particular food. Use these unit prices to compare sizes and brands. Look on the shelf edge under the product to see the price listed and also the unit price details. The example here is a can of 12-ounce pears. Bulk buys can also be a really easy way to save money while shopping. It can be helpful to take advantage of sales noted and stock up. These, again, would be for food items that you know that you use routinely in your eating pattern and for your different meals. Cooking in bulk can be also helpful to help create leftovers for you to freeze for future meals. Coupons can be another way to support saving on bulk buys. If coupons aren't available, you can always ask for a rain check if the store is out for a particular product, or you can ask tellers when new coupons may be available. Caution that sometimes coupons are for store brands. Off brands may be a cheaper option for you. Tips to stretch your dollar before we move on to some next steps may include purchasing fruit and vegetables from the produce section and not the salad bar that may be pre-prepared, purchasing fruits and vegetables in season and looking for produce discount shelves, In-season vegetables may also be available at your local's farmer's market for a lower price. Adding vegetables or legumes like chickpeas, beans, or lentils to costly dishes with meats can be a helpful plant-based protein substitute. Grocery bargains can be found on top and bottom shelves and in out-of-the-way spaces. Keep an eye out for these. Most store or generic brands are cheaper. Keep an eye out for any sales that may be available at your local grocery store. If you typically buy name brands, look for coupons for these brands. Look in store ads and also in the paper. Only use coupons for foods that are already on your list. This is a really great way to save money and cut down on your grocery bill. Lean cuts of meat provide more for your dollar. Less tender cuts also tend to be cheaper. Preparing meat yourself versus meat that may be pre-prepared can be helpful. Another great tip to consider cutting down on your grocery bill is setting a budget for yourself for your grocery shops. It might be helpful to reflect on the question around why do we eat away from home? Is this for time? Is this for convenience? Is this for enjoyment of certain tastes or textures or certain favorite foods? In your life, consider, why do you eat away from home? What comes up in your week or your month that propels you to seek food choices away from home? When we're considering cooking on a budget, it can be really helpful to think about eating at home more often. Also, preparing certain food items ahead of time can be really helpful to put together quicker meals. Start small with reducing takeout trips. This doesn't mean you can never eat away from home or that the opportunity might ever arise, but eating away from home can add up quickly. It can save you money to think a little bit about eating at home more often. When you are eating at home or out, things to consider may be the mindfulness around the nutrition that you're getting from frozen dinners or TV dinners. Choose those that may have lower sodium. This can be really, really helpful. Make your own frozen dinners. Repurposing leftovers can create your own frozen dinners that can be pulled out from the freezer, maybe at a different time. Doubling the recipe of a main dish you're making can help to create these dinners. Freeze these portions in small-sized containers so you can ensure that you are getting an enjoyable but satisfying amount of food. After you have cooked a meal, make sure to cool quickly and freeze these meals as soon as possible to make sure that meal is freshest and most safe. Label packages when you made the meal so you know when to finish them by. Keep a list of the frozen items that you've frozen in a convenient location so you know what you can pull from the following week. Making the most out of boxed meals. We understand that boxed meals can be a convenient choice and that people sometimes need to rely on these things throughout their week. What can be very helpful is to make sure that we decrease or choose a product that mentions that they're decreasing the amount of sodium available. If you're using high sodium foods or condiments in your cooking, it can be helpful to use half the amount called for in a recipe. If you're using items like canned soup, you can also look for lower sodium options. Other lower sodium food items to consider could be pasta sauces, or also if you're thinking about using canned fruit, it can be helpful to choose those that are packed in water. Looking for lower sugar items for yogurt, jello, or pudding can also be a helpful way to make sure that we're decreasing the amount of added sugar that we're adding to our eating pattern. When we think about helpful foods that help with cost savings, some really great options can include eggs, potatoes, rolled oats, non-fat dried milk, beans, peanut butter, canned tuna, or salmon. Of note, eggs can typically be relatively cost-friendly, and sometimes we can shop the sales. They're high in protein, and you can have them in a different variety of ways, including scrambled, boiled, made into fun dishes like huevos rancheros, and also made into sandwich fillings like egg salad. Potatoes can be very high in dietary fiber, vitamin C, and electrolytes like potassium. You can have them white, or you could have them as sweet potatoes. You can bake, boil, roast, or even add these items to casseroles or soups. At this time of year, you can make a helpful side dish like a cooled potato salad. Rolled oats can be great options that are high fiber, relatively cost effective, and you can add them to cooked fruits, oatmeals, apple crisps, and even smoothies. When looking for canned tuna, consider skipjack or yellowfin, which can be lower in mercury than something like an albacore or a white tuna. Some helpful meal planning resources found online may include Cookspiration Meal Planner, Work Week Lunch, Yumly Recipes and Meal Planner, Project Meal Plan, and Health Canada's meal planning resources, affiliated with the Canada Food Guide. Now on to thinking more about keeping your behavior changes going to support your lifestyle. It can be really essential to think outside the box of nutrition sometimes to how you're moving your body. Movement can be magical. We know the long-term benefits of engaging in regular movement in our lifestyle can include support for brain health, heart health, cancer prevention, supporting someone's best weight, bone strength, and improving balance and coordination. We can also see more immediate benefits for sleep quality, mood management, including anxiety, and improved amount of well-being, and also blood pressure support. Self-care is a typical buzzword heard a lot these days, but we do like to encourage people to think a little bit about where they're currently at when it comes to taking care of yourself. There are different types of self-care that we can engage in. Some that are physical, like considering our housing situation and the safety of it, movement levels, and fun self-care acts like going for a walk in nature, forest bathing, engaging in massage as possible, taking breaks or vacation, and including a variety of nourishing foods in your eating pattern. Self-care can also be psychological. This can include engaging in self-reflection, gardening or painting hobbies, and practicing asking and receiving help. Journaling and also sensory engagement can be other helpful tools for psychological self-care support. Emotional self-care may look like engaging in positive affirmations, exploring a new hobby, engaging in social justice activities, and practicing forgiveness. Spiritual self-care may look like engaging with a connection and spiritual community, engaging in meditation, prayer, volunteering, singing, dancing, or yoga if it's enjoyable for you. Personal self-care might look like setting goals for your life, grabbing coffee with a friend or fostering new friendships, spending time with family, or learning a new hobby. Professional self-care may include taking a course, networking with colleagues, accessing supervision or mentorship, and taking your vacation and sick days as available. This helpful reference is from olgaphoenix.com, where you can actually access a very helpful free download of this supportive resource as labeled the self-care wheel. This can be very supportive for self-care planning and how it might apply to your life. As a reminder, we like to liken health behavior change as a process. We can consider how health behavior change relates to growing a plant. First, we plant the seed, then we need to create nourishing conditions for that plant to thrive. We need to make sure that we're engaging in constant care for that plant. We need to help that plant survive by giving it water, the right sunlight, the right environment in our home. Sometimes that plant needs to learn how to resist barriers and change and figure out maybe if a plan B needs to take place. And eventually, we hope that that plant will thrive and survive with continued practice, continued reflection, and continued flexibility. As a reminder to wrap up this presentation, we want to encourage you to make your goals SMART. Be specific. Consider how measurable your goals are. Are they attainable? Do you have capacity to engage right now? Are they realistic, or do you need to make the goal a little bit easier for you to attain? And are they time-based? Will you check in? And what will your plan for follow-up look like? Here is a helpful list of community resources available in the Waterloo-Wellington area. At New Vision, we have our monthly Healthy Steps group. If you are interested in signing up, please visit New Vision Family Health Team website under workshop registration. We also include a regular walk and talk group where we meet at a local place to walk together and connect. Waterloo Wellington Self-Management also has a variety of supportive workshops that may be related to stress and anxiety management, food relationship support, and improvements for sleep. Some helpful online options to encourage you in your self-care journey may include Yoga with Adriene via YouTube, Insight Timer app for smartphones, and also the Calm app for smartphones. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time and your engagement with New Vision Family Health Team, and we hope that this presentation supported you on your health and well-being.